YouTube words. You gotta teach me StreamYards. Oh man, what a dick. Anyway, so thought I would just hang out for a bit. I am going to keep this public just for a little bit, get my watch hours and time in and all that jazz. In the meantime, thought I would just hang out and talk, maybe smoke bowl, uh, whatever comes to mind. I will talk about. If you would like to join as a guest, you absolutely can, babes. You just hit that multi user, what's it called? You just hit that button. And yeah, in the meantime, loves, I will just, talk about anything, I guess. Life is wild, life is short. Hey, love. What's going on, baby? Feel free to hang out and chat. This will just be short, of course. And yeah, it's a rainy freaking day here in New York. The last couple days, it was uh, sunny, beautiful. Yesterday was absolutely fucking gorgeous. So I'm getting my son in as much as I can. Because wouldn't it fucking suck if I was in jail in Tennessee and could not fucking get my son in? I don't think that'll ever happen, but you never know. It gives me anxiety because my stalker can just lie and say anything and make fake fucking shit on ChatGPT. I keep having those kind of nightmares because that's what happened in court. So I'm like, oh, happen again. But I can't talk about details. Like I said, I don't want to violate the order. That's why I'm doing everything I can to make sure I do not say or do anything that would violate me. So what's going? I see two window watchers. You gonna say hello in chat, baby? What's going on, Lovey? Yeah, so it's a rainy day here in New York. I uploaded a couple videos, couple community posts, just messing with people, talking to myself, seeing how people would react, because these people do endless amounts of live streams about me. So I thought, might as well fuck with them, because that's all I do, right? Just fuck around. Fuck around and find out. Anyway, um, gotta write. I gotta write some more. Just get my feelings out, whether it's poetry or a book, writing about my experience. Yeah, it would be well, so I wrote a book years ago. I guess I'll talk about it. It's called The Intruder. My trolls know about it. They probably wrote it, somewhere in their files. But yeah, so I wrote a book called The Intruder, and basically it was uh, a story. It was full. Um, sorry. Notebooks, the journals, notebooks full, marble notebooks full, front to back, of the story. Basically, The Intruder is about a nightmare that I had, and to kind of get past the scare of the nightmare because it was a reoccurring nightmare. So I thought, yeah, why don't I make into a story, and then so I won't be scared anymore. I'm very wise. It's funny because one of my first therapists, I told about this story, and they said, "You wrote this that young?" I said, "Yes." I've always just been wise and intelligent beyond my years. So anyway, back to the intruder. So it was. I'm gonna replace the names because they were names of my friends at the time. So I don't want to say those names because people go online and look. So I'll change the names to um. hmm. So basically, in this nightmare, it takes place at a sleepover, right? And we were, in the room trying to sleep. Well, we were sleeping, and uh, there would be an old man, and the old man was just basically our best friend, but psychologically she was like an old man. I don't know how else to describe it, loves. So it's funny because even like the friend group when I was basically how it is. I feel like I'm all over the place. I don't care though. Um, so I wrote the book and then I had an editor. And then the editor went to the second editor. It was literally like journalism. So everyone, as I'm writing the next book, we passed off the books to each other. And yeah, so anyway, Yeah, so we'll name her Madison. So Madison basically would come into the house and would walk around. And I know I've had this nightmare because if you know anything about my lore, the intruder, I had an intruder in my house at a real sleepover, but it was different. It was with my neighbors my childhood neighbors at the time. So we were sleeping in the living room. This is real life. All right, I'll start the intruder story over after I explain this. So, loves, we were sleeping in the living room, and uh people, it sucks because no one believed me, but now they do because they're like, that makes sense when I explain it. Hold on. I'm all over the place. Okay, so this is a real life intruder story, and then that's why I had these nightmares, and then that's what the book was about anyway. So we were sleeping in the living room, and I woke up and I saw two men, one to the like whisper lips to the other guy, because they saw I was them. But you know how, have you ever had like one of those realistic moments where you wake up from a nightmare and you just don't know what's reality until your brain is like starting to slowly wake up? That's what I thought was happening, and I was just like, this isn't. I said it out loud. I was like, this isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. And I was about like 9 years old at the time, and uh, I said, take anything, just please don't hurt us, right? And then I was shaking. Then I saw they left, like they left, and I was shaking my neighbor, and I said, there's people in here. I'm scared. And he woke up and he was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Just go back to sleep. Oh, she's so annoying. Then next thing I know, so I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe I'm like half awake, sleeping, whatever. Didn't think of anything of it, and so I fall asleep and I wake up and my mom is screaming on the top of her lungs, right? And so we get up and there's like tons of shit missing from the fucking house. So the detectives came. Basically, they broke open a back door that we had. It's the infamous back door. Not my back door, but the back door of the house. And so we got fingerprints. We end up finding who it was. It was like these guys that worked for my dad, and they also had drug issues, and um they like planned this. Apparently they planned it for weeks. So we got most of the stuff back. A lot of it was pawned. But anyway, so was going over to the detective. It's funny, my family's like, why do you always involve yourself with law enforcement? And I'm like, I don't know. I've been doing this since I was very little. So anyway, so I go up to the detective and I'm like, excuse me, I saw them. I saw them. I saw them. I know exactly what they look like. And this is before that we knew who it was. They were just collecting fingerprints. And my mom is like, Jess, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, no, like I saw it wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream. Like there's no way because I remember everything. And they didn't believe me until like much later on in life because they said that makes sense. I had this crazy fucking nightmare. I mean, this I thought was what a nightmare, and then I woke up and realistic. So anyway, that's why I was having this recurring nightmare called the intruder. So back to the intruder. What did I name them? Madison. Madison is the intruder, and we were all sleeping, sleepover, and Madison, it breaks into the house and just walks around, basically what those men were doing. And uh, at first, we had the door open in the first nightmare, and then in the second one, we were like scared, so we decided to have the door closed. But we weren't allowed to lock the door because that's the rules in my house. So like I made it based on real life. We were like we weren't allowed to keep the door locked, you know what I mean? Because I had guy boyfriends, that sounds weird. Male friends and female friends when I was a child. So it's just a rule, like you always have to keep the door open or unlocked. So anyway, um, yeah, so Madison kept, creeping around the house, and we were just scared for our lives. And we're like, why don't we set up a security system? So we bought these toothbrushes. It's so funny. But I was a child, remember? And remember those toothbrushes? Well, they still have them, obviously. Uh, and they sing songs, or they, So we made these toothbrushes say "intruder, intruder," and then the name of the it's not her name isn't Madison, but for the sake of this changing story names, intruder, intruder, Madison, intruder, intruder, Madison, intruder, intruder, Madison. So we used our own voices to say that. So like it would go off, and whoever's toothbrush Madison touched would go off first, right? But then they both went off at the same time, but like different, almost simultaneously, right? So that would scare. So we were scared even more because we were like, "What did we now? We know whenever Madison's in the house." It went from not knowing if Madison is here to just having this inkling, this feeling, and seeing this dark figure walking around the house. To now we're scared to death because these toothbrushes keep going off. So we were very scared, and that's just like the start of my dream, my nightmares, So I start writing this book, right? And I'm, terrified, and I keep, having nightmares and waking up and looking around the room, touching, like going around the room and like opening the closet door, looking under my bed and everything, like crazy. I'm scared. I was just a kid. So, I start writing this book, and then my best friend see it, and mind you, I'm using their real names in the book and everything, right? And one of them was we didn't call her teacher's pet. We called her teacher's. Oh, fuck. There's a specific word we use, not teacher's pet though, but she basically was very intelligent to the point where she was correcting errors, the teacher's errors. So we had her, one of my best friends at the time, be the second editor, and so she would rewrite or circle anything that was wrong, and from there, but they weren't allowed to touch my story or give me ideas. I was the writer, they were the editors, and then um because I was all over the place, kind of how I am now, telling the story. So the first editor, our first best friend, she would edit and put chapters together. Like suppose she felt I was off tangent, she would just mark things off and then put a chapter, replace paragraphs instead of making it a whole chapter, you know what I mean? And then the third one was to fix all the errors altogether to complete the book. Well, it was multiple marble notebooks. So anyway, back to the intruder. So to get over this nightmare, I decided to start writing, you know, um, more to the story. So we get, past the toothbrushes, and so Madison is we're trying to figure out. Mind you, I forgot to say this. We know our best friend's Madison. We don't know what the intruder looks like yet. Okay. We know that they look like an old man, but Madison isn't an old man. Madison was a child, you know? So, anyway, Madison. So she looked old. Once we got to the part of the book where we were like, all right, let's just catch the intruder because we're going to be terrified for the rest of our lives. We can't do this. This is psychological torture, you know? And that's one of the lines in the book. I was like, wow, I was fucking like what, 11 years old or something. However old you are in fifth grade, 11, 12, I don't know. Or is it younger? Anyway, I know I was in fifth grade. Um, because we had reading times, you know what I mean? But since I was a fast reader and obviously I comprehend very well, I my friends, we were all the smart kids. We would finish the book like the first day, and everyone had the entire week. So we asked our teacher if we could work on my book, and she let us. So we would just like group up together. As they were like, as long as you guys are quiet. So we'd like whisper and be like, "Do you have chapter 14?" You know what I mean? Whatever. So anyway, back to the intruder. We yeah, we decided not to torture ourselves. So we wanted to meet who the intruder is. And like I said, we don't know who they are. We just see an old man. This is like so weird. So we're, let's set up traps, right? So we set up these balloons around the corners of the upstairs. So that way, whenever Madison would walk up, or the intruder, I should say, would walk up the staircase, we would hear boop, 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 boop. When you hit a bunch of balloons. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that, but that's what they said. Boop, 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 boop. You know. So we set up that trap. It didn't work because Madison is a evil person, and they just went up the staircase, and then we just saw a dark figure smiling, and then they left. So we're like, that trap didn't work. We have to figure out another trap. And so like, what if we put the toothbrushes downstairs so we know right away, so we can escape before we're killed? Meanwhile, we don't, the intruder was just psychologically torturing us. We don't know where the murder came from. But we were editing this book and making up this story. So like we were like, all right, let's turn this into a dark story. So we put the toothbrushes downstairs next to the door, and we were still scared. Didn't give us enough time. By the time Madison came up the staircase and peered into the bedroom, opened up the door and looked into the room, we were, terrified. We're like, no. And then I would wake up from my dream. Then we would write a new chapter, yada, yada. And I don't remember all the details from like I said, there are multiple Marble notebooks. I only remember from what I read, a couple years ago when I found the notebooks. So we wanted to meet the intruder. So we basically we set the toothbrushes up back in the bathroom, and we thought, as soon as we hear, we're just gonna stand up for ourselves. We're gonna open up that bedroom door, and we're going to see who the intruder is, and hopefully they won't have a weapon. I don't know if I could say. Can you say knife on YouTube? I don't know. So anyway, uh they whether they have a weapon and we're like scared, but they're going to kill us, what we just need to figure out who the intruder is. So oh, and Madison basically couldn't sleep over all the time. Yeah, she was in a lot of sports, like we were all in sports as well. However, she was in a different type of sports, you know what I mean? So she couldn't always sleep over. So that's why we were like, what if it's Madison? We got to figure out who the intruder is. Like they like it didn't make any sense because we knew that they look like an old person. I don't know. It never makes sense. It was a kid's nightmare. It's a kid's toothbrushes. Toothbrush intruder alert system. Oh man. And this was way beyond, I think, Ring cameras. Actually, I don't know for sure. Maybe they just weren't popular when I was a kid. Anyway, so we, get ready. We're like, all right, let's not sleep tonight. Let's have ice cream so that way we can be, energetic and, full of sugar. So we had to stay up and everything. So, mind you, this is still the nightmare that we're writing. We're writing this nightmare. I'm no longer having nightmares anymore about this one, at least, because I'm working on this book and weeks have gone past. So, yeah, part of the nightmare when we finally want to see the intruder, we open up the door and we're like, oh, it is Madison. And they were like, why are you doing this to us? And they said, because I couldn't go to the sleepovers. Because Madison couldn't. She just she wanted to be a part of the sleepover. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. Weren't you at soccer all day? The book ended so lame. But we were just kids, and it's not like we're gonna write murder stories. We're just kids. Anyway, that's the intruder story that we wrote. So yeah, if my point is, I'm a storyteller. I can write books and poetry and music and everything. A lot of people think that the AI music, yeah, it's AI music. However, I spend a lot of time writing the lyrics, and you could tell because it's all my lore. You don't see gibberish, basically, and that's how, these AI bots write. Hey, lovey doveys, it is Jessi. If anyone would like to be a guest or hard on my lyrics, and I screen record it because then there's, autistic Apple Charlotte people like that who they, like to make claims. So I screen record everything, which I've uploaded before, and they probably know. they still like to say I don't write my own shit. They don't. They actually they use all AI. At least I actually write songs. I post the AI stuff because it's quick and easy and awesome. So anyway, that was the intruder story. Hey love. Oh, thank you for the like. Oh wow, someone liked this real fast. Damn, that's mean. Anyway, I don't really have any. So much to say, so much to say, so much to say. Do-do-do-do-do. Lift me up, Lord, from the bottom up until the top, love, every day. Left to right, up and down, love, push up, bra, love. Damn. That's a song that I like to dance with my girlfriend. Well, she likes Nicki Minaj. It's funny. I can't if I like her a lot, so I can't stand that kind of music. But we have an agreement. If she's gonna put that kind of music on, she's gonna strip and she's gonna booty dance. Because I'm not gonna sit and smoke and listen to Nicki Minaj and or whatever. Can't even remember all these rappers' names. They're all the same to me. They're all the same loves. So anyway, um, yeah, so I'll be live on TikTok later. It seems like don't really have much of an audience here. Maybe I'll probably retell the intruder story on TikTok. Yeah. And yeah, I'll see you guys later, Gator. If you don't know, I go by Dear What the Heck on TikTok. It's a little bit different over there, but hope you join me. That is DearWhatTheheck. I was also the national spelling bee. No, I'm joking. Because people who don't like me, who are the people who are jealous of me, I have a lot of skills, hobbies and talents and everything, and they just don't want me to, so they like to say that I lie about everything, and when I show my hobby skills and talents, they scoot away like little rats. Yeah, I love life. But anyway, I might do a prayer, not a prayer, moment of silence on TikTok, you know Yeah, I have a lot of stories. And if anyone wants me to retell any stories from years ago, you certainly can just say in chat, be like, oh, do you remember this story that you told? And I'll retell it if you'd like. There's five of you window lickers. I don't know if you guys are my trolls or not. I can't really tell. It could just be anyone, just kind of watching and listening. But, you know, my trolls, they're different time zones and everything. And would they be on right now? I think they're late night people because I used to do late night streams. They would be all over that. I can't imagine they're here in the morning. I mean, when did they sleep? When did they eat? When did they go out? When did they sleep? You know, they don't. It's a trip. They don't do anything in life, and that's why sometimes I contemplate if what if life isn't real? Like it's a simulation or something? Because how the fuck do these people not do anything with their lives? It trips me the fuck out. Anytime I'm going out, like sometimes my man, I went out the other day with my girls and I said, I don't understand these people who talk about me online. They just don't do anything. My friend goes, yeah, I mean, it might feel that way. You don't really know their lives, right? And I said, but they're literally live all day. And, they said that some people, they just don't have the mental capacity to expand their journey. They don't want to move, do anything with their life, travel, see the world, um, you know. But I'll probably retell the intruder story on Tickety Talk later on. So that being said, loves, have a good one and stay safe, stay kind, be respectful, and remember, leave the past in the past and let's just move forward. Bye, love. Why do I still have a cough? It must be sorry, but still have a cough. I don't know if it's allergies, still sickness, or if it's the throat chakra. Because the throat chakra, if you don't know when you're speaking your truth, or you feel like no one's believing you, it's called the throat chakra. So, oh look, there's more people watching. Hey, I just told my intruder story. I'm not sure if you can go back in time. Not sure how that works. I don't know. Maybe you can. If you can, please record this because I need someone to start recording my lives. I know people do, but I need someone who can do it, regularly because it takes a long time to render. Like yesterday's live stream rendered last night. Yes, I did a live stream at 5 o'clock in the morning and it rendered at nighttime. So if anyone could record my live stream, send it to email or I try to stay off Discord, but there's different ways you'd be able to send it to me. If you could, please record my live streams. I'd really appreciate it. Or if you do already, please send them to me. Um, yeah. Hey, lovey doveys. Thank you for the 2 likes. I don't know who you are, but thank you so much. Surely appreciate it. I am going to get off though because it's about to hit that 30-minute mark. And like I said, I don't want to be someone who live streams all day, like exposing and Quiche and Haiti Joyless and Hello Starlight and, all the people that are constantly fucking. It trips me the fuck out. It trips me out. They want to talk about Brie? Yeah, at least Brie stays live on one fucking account. Everyone else is fucking panel hopping. I will never fucking forget when I was calling out Hello Starlight on CJ Comedy Channel, and I said, "Well, you're live all day," and she goes, "Who? Who?" And I said, "You," and she goes, "I am not live all day." And then so what I did because I was so petty after this because I was like, "She's a liar. Why is she lying? Is she lying to herself, like mental illness, or I don't know?" So when she got off, I took literally screenshots of every single live stream that she was on, and she was live from 11 a.m. my time, which is Eastern time, and she got off around like 11:30, almost 11:45 on Morbid. I mean, so that's literally like 12 hours she was live, and I still have all the screenshots and everything. And I'm like, she's live all the time. And of course, she took a break for I don't know, she probably has children and all of that. So whatever, but like good for her. I've been telling her to take a break for months. Oh man, I've been trying to at least. Been trying to tell these people take a break, stop, being online, do something. Go out for drinks. Go out for drinks. That's what I'm gonna. That's what I'm doing today. My friend, I don't get to see her much. All my female friends, they're mom friend. They're moms, so I never get to see them. But I get to have tacos. So yeah. If you want to fly out and see me, you can. You know exactly the place that I'm going to. Feel free, but let me know ahead of time. Like, I know from Washington, um, DC would be a couple hours, right? But Wes, if you want to hang out, you can. You know exactly where I'll be. I gotta do some laundry, figure out what I'm gonna wear to Taco Day, and then I'll let you guys know. So that way, when I'm there, you'll know what I look like, right? So you'll be able to find me. But I'll let you know what I'm wearing on TikTok. And so you can, find me easily. So you don't have to like go in and be like, "Where's the infamous Jessi here?" and embarrass me. So, is it Friday? It's Friday, Friday. I can't wait to my next show. That's something I keep trying to look forward to. Positive things. Can't just be spiraling on the internet. It's fun playing a character and everything and fucking around with people. Like yesterday, people were posting the hell out of my mugshot all over TikTok. Yes. Oh man, that was wild. That was wild. People were just DMing me the screenshots of my mugshot and police reports and stuff. Oh man, wild. Anyway, like I said, getting off 30-minute mark. I'll be on TikTok later. Ciao.
Hi, Jessi.
Hey everyone, it is Jessi, also known as Here With the Heck, but you also may know me as Jessi Magoo. If you would like to participate in my live stream, you're more than welcome to. Unfortunately, I have filters on, and that is not just to protect me, because who gives a fuck about me? It's all about the people in my chat and the respect and peace and privacy of my loved ones. That being said, let's get into this. Hey, Westmost.
Hey, Jessi.
So let's get into the Aussie Bite Gate. I know that, it's been troubling me for a very long time.
Okay, can we stick to one accent if we're going to do this, please?
So tell me, you like Aussie Bites?
I don't. Not anymore. No, I did in 2022 as I did briefly for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, you fell into a little habit there, you know.
Yeah.
As soon as you saw that I like Aussie Bites, you started to like Aussie Bites. Now,
No,
have you ever tried them? Have you ever
no.
warmed them up, babe?
Well, can we go back on one thing quickly? I
No,
didn't
thank you.
try
So,
them
have you
because
ever
of
tried
you.
them
Well,
warmed
well,
up?
I have not. I have not. Is that a way you would
Okay.
recommend to
Now,
try
have you
them?
ever tried them with peanut butter or even chocolate just a little bit, even with oats? Now, have you ever prepped them with oats, even for an afternoon snack?
I have not. Is is that how you eat them now?
I'm telling you, it is a world of difference. Now, I don't eat Aussie bites too. I fell into
Hmm.
out of the phase as you did too.
Yeah.
I felt like it happens. It happens. It's just like I have the same exact issue with popcorn. I like the toppings. When you go to a fucking movie theater and you're like, bada bing, bada boom, and you put fucking toppings on side. And
Hmm.
I kind of just fell out of it. And then every now and then I get back to the craven. So, Aussie bites. Now, you're telling me that at the time you were only interested in them for a short amount of time. You wasn't like a long game where you grew up with them and, you know, got
No.
into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
So what is the Aussie Bite Gate that we were supposed to be discussing? Because I don't really understand it.
Now, the Aussie Bite Gate is about how Aussie Bites have always been my snack. And I'm telling you, on social media pages, and I've talked about all of my live streams, and I was talking about the Aussie Bites. And suddenly they were your thing. And they said, oh, hell no to the no, no, no.
That's
Because you either
that's not
dig
actually
them
how that
or you're
happened.
fucking stalking. You're stalking
That's
me
not
my entire life in
that's
the
that's
boardwalk, West Most.
that's not how that's not how that happened, Jesse. We just so happen to be eating the same Australian based snack. It's really just as simple as that.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. And I do now. Back then I was like, trying to fucking I had a whole fucking dot board and I had, trying to put the puzzle pieces together. I had a puzzle that I was trying to work through. And I
Hmm.
had,
Hmm.
I was trying to put all the pieces together and I noticed now what a waste of time. Imagine if I wrote books, like marble notebooks full of this shit, just like The Intruder. Now, why won't you take the Intruder video down?
What are you talking about? Oh, so can I tell you the truth? When I heard the intruder story, I was intrigued. There was a lot of suspense. There were a lot of questions that I had about the story, the way the story flowed. Like at one part, I believe you said that it was a published book.
No, it's not a published book. So it was always written as I was a child with my
Hmm.
friends. So we all took place like when I was saying, "Oh, my editor," and then my second editor. That was, well, basically people who were reviewing the book. The third person was the final say. Now the second
Okay.
person would rewrite the paragraphs in case I was rambling, because you know how I do what I do, and they were helping me put it together, and then the third person was the together person, and then from there they we rewrote into a separate journal.
Okay. But I do have some questions about the story, if you don't mind, because you did say at
Absolutely,
one
honey.
part. Well, thank you. You did say at one part that you were sleeping at your friend's house, and then
No, it
you
was at
woke
my
up.
house. My house,
Well,
my
well, but
room, my
but
childhood
but in the
bedroom.
what in the story, you said that you were in your friend's house at a sleepover, and then you woke up and the man had there was like a creeper, like a Sim style robber, and he put his finger up to his lips and was like shh, and you
That's what
told him,
happened in real, but that's what happens similarly in real life. So
yeah.
I was
So
basing off the story from a real life story, and then I just made this fabricated story based off of that, and it was very therapeutic and everything. I
Uh-huh.
don't want people to get, confused with two different stories and everything. Yeah. So that being said, I, you know, I it always took place at my parents' house. So if I said that, I apologize. I want to retract and clarify that now.
So can you agree that all I was doing by sharing the intruder with the world was giving a voice to your artistic retelling of this story? I don't know why you would want me to take that down.
Yeah, but it wasn't a full whole story. I just kind of did it because I had nothing else to talk about. So I was like, all right, I'm going to talk about, I was like, I wasn't planning this and everything. If I knew I was going to talk about a live stream, obviously I would have
Hmm.
provided more details and I would have been more accurate because it would have
Well,
been
do you know
what?
what I think? Do you know what I think, Jesse? I think now would be the perfect time. Then why don't you tell the story to me, and we can, and I'll just listen, and you can tell me the intruder story, and really give it the full details that a story that rich deserves.
Okay, so are you talking about the real life story or the book story?
Well, I
Or both?
think
Or both?
that you don't know. I think you should tell the real life story this time. Then maybe
Okay.
next time, yeah. Why don't you tell the real life story? Then we'll just go through it.
Okay, so I was having a sleepover with my sister and our neighbor, who was a male. At this time, we were in the my parents' house in the living room,
Hmm.
and we were sleeping. I woke up and I saw two men. There was one from what I remember, they were kind of like reaching over the couch because I was on the couch. They were down like, oh, it's so precious princess, right? But no, I'm joking. But they were on the floor and I was on the couch. And they didn't want to sleep on the couch. It's not like I was like, you can't sleep here. Whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
cannot enter. It wasn't like that. Like they just
Hmm.
wanted to sleep. We're kids. Also, I was like, 9, 10 at the time. And anyway, so I was on the couch and I saw two men and one peering over and going, "Shh." So I got frightened and I thought, you know, all right, you can take anything. You like, don't hurt us. You can take anything.
Well, did you hold on? Did you think that, or did you say that?
I did. I was very frightened and I said, like, don't take it. Like, and I also, how, like, when you even I was self-aware at the time when I was a child, and
Hmm.
you know how like when you wake up from a dream, like you're in a dream state, you're like there maybe REM's like starting to hit you a little bit, but you're like a little bit like dizzy, and you're like, all right, is this actually happening? That's what I thought, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back to sleep," you know what I mean? But I
Hmm.
also it was darkness. So anyway, they I was like, yeah, you could take anything, but don't hurt us. And then they came from a recliner. Behind the recliner, it goes to the kitchen area of my parents' house.
Hmm.
So they went over there, and I was shaking my neighbor, and I said, "Wake up! Like there's someone here." And they said, "No, like go back to sleep. You're so annoying." And they
Wait, wait,
like,
wait. Hold on. Because so you were on the couch, right, and your friend was sleeping
yes,
on the floor. So did you
yes.
try wake when you say you were waking up your neighbor? Were you waking up your friend sleeping on the floor, or like the people next door?
No, I was like shaking them because I was like it's like almost like what you're I'm in his dream state, but also I'm like dumbfounded.
Uh huh.
But I'm like I'm like trying to make aware of the situation, and I'm like rubbing them. And the only reason why I know this actually happened is because what happened the following morning. Well, a
Well,
couple
hold on. You
hours
still
later.
didn't. You still didn't answer the question. When you said you were trying to wake up your neighbor, was it the kid sleeping on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was just a year younger than me. So like we were, like shaking, and then my sister slept next to him on the floor on in like my parents made like a area with like pillows and blankets and everything.
Hmm.
Um anyway, so I was shaking them and they were like turning and I was like, yeah, you're so annoying. And they pulled like folded over. Then so I was like panicking, but I was like, all right, this has to be like, you don't want to be aware of that. Like you're like, especially as a child, like
Yeah.
weird shit, like weird, you don't want to believe it, especially in the middle of the night. You like wake up and you've always like looked at your hands and you're like think there's a shadow, you know what I mean? Especially as a
Oh,
child when you're
absolutely.
like, yeah. So that's what I thought was going on. And I fell back to sleep and I woke up to my mom screaming her absolute head off. And yeah, there was radio missing. There was like a CD capture case, like I don't know, almost like a stationary case, but like with stacks of CDs. And anyway, so that's all I knew from there. They stole more, but that's all I knew because it was there when we went to sleep. So we woke up with it missing. So they took the record player while we were sleeping and everything. And I think they were coming in and out of the house and they thought, oh, these kids are not gonna wake up. Like I don't know what they were thinking at the time. I don't like I don't know. They're criminals.
Mhm.
So yeah, so anyway, they had law enforcement come over, a detective, and they were fingerprinting and I was like, I saw them. And they said no, you didn't, you don't know what you're talking about. And I remember just being like, "Ah, what the fuck am I never fucking believed?" Like that was the beginning of my story of not being believed, you know what I mean? But anyway,
Well,
so
okay, so yeah, okay, so you wake up, right? You
yeah,
wake up to your mother screaming,
screaming on the top of her
and
lungs.
she's like, "Oh my goodness
No.
gracious!"
No, it was, you're gonna make me laugh, but no, seriously, she was like that.
How
Like
was how was that any different than what I just did? I just used words.
you were like, oh my goodness gracious,
No,
I
no, she wasn't
can't believe
sassy
my
Savannah.
eyes
No, she
here.
wasn't sassy Savannah, but she was like, "Oh my goodness gracious! You know, my fine silver, my record. How much stuff was gone?"
It was about $1,600, and I only remember that because I talked about it recently with my family.
Okay, so
Sixteen
sixteen
hundred
hundred
dollars
dollars,
worth of
and
assets, basically.
you told them that you saw the intruders, correct?
They no, they believe me now only because
Yeah.
I
Well,
explained
no. Well,
everything. But
hold on.
at the time, I was
Oh,
a child, and
yeah.
I know I saw. Okay, no. There were two intruders,
Yes.
but in the story, the book, I wrote one intruder because of a nightmare that I had, and it involved one of my friends.
Well, let's stay out of the nightmare realm for now. Let's stay in the reality. Because so what happens after your mom notices all the stuff is missing? Where does it go next?
They called the police immediately and everything, which made me uncomfortable because I was in my fucking pajamas and everything.
Yeah.
Tony pajamas. No, but it was a very wild experience. And they were taking fingerprints and everything. And I said, no, I
Uh,
saw them. It was one skinny man. And then there was one more, how I
more
described him.
rotund.
I did, I was a child. So I like made my
Yeah.
hands big. And I was like,
Mm,
and he's like,
yeah. It was a
yeah.
regular like Laurel and Hardy, Jake and the Fat Man type situation where you had a
No,
it
they were caught.
it was basically the wet bandits. You had Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern
Or it
there.
was
Now,
more like Of Mice and Men.
okay, so you had a Lenny and George thing where
Yeah, it
they
was
just
like a
wanted to
Lenny and
go
George.
and they just wanted to go and tend to the rabbits. Now,
Exactly.
now paint a picture for me. You tell the police, you're like, listen, I saw these two men. You give
Well,
them the description. Now,
I wasn't talking to them. I was talking to my mom, and I was like,
uh,
I was trying to tell her they while they were talking, like having an adult conversation. I was like, no, I saw them, and they're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then the detective wasn't even looking at me, like basically it was an adult conversation.
and then what happened?
I mean, that's basically the end of the story.
Oh,
That's the end of the
were
story.
the men ever captured, or are
Oh,
they
like
still
I
out
said, oh
there?
yeah, if you that aftermath, yeah, they were captured. They worked for my dad. Um,
Wait,
and
these two men they worked for your father, and that's why they they had cased the joint before? Or were they mad
Yeah.
about being what
So
was the reason?
they knew because my dad used to have like people come in the house like for their paychecks and stuff. Like they
Uh-huh.
just come inside. Like if it's cold outside, you know what I mean? Just and they would come in and step into the vestibule and yeah. They saw exactly where they were getting the checks from and everything, like a specific spot. And yeah, so they were casing the place. They were. Uh they weren't able to recover everything. Um
Hmm.
all they wanted was just them to be prosecuted, which they were. They so the only thing we were able to get back was the stereo, and they sold CDs separately. So they had like, or they weren't, or we don't know for sure, you know, but they didn't have all the CDs in the fucking station and everything. So we got what we got back is like basically that. And um so my mom, there is a you know, a room where basically actually I don't want to talk about where my parents have,
Well,
but
I don't think you're not. I don't think you're really doxing by giving room specific
yeah,
information.
they they ravaged through things and you know kind of took like you know jewelry and then you know
Hmm.
obviously money
Hmm.
and everything because they you know were keeping an eye on everything that they were what we were doing. It was kind of
But all
disturbing
told,
because
but
sometimes
all
we would
told, it was
have
only
like dinners and you know
pickles.
they would come to
But
pick up
but all told, it was only $1,600. Even with with the jewelry, the record
yes
player,
yep
it was still only six. What kind of jewelry
yep
was this? Costume jewelry?
costumes jewelry. No, I mean I don't know, it was my this what I know from my family. I'm fucking 31 years old. This happened when I was a kid. I don't fucking know. I don't know the
We're
fucking itemized list.
Jesse, you're slipping back into. Let's
I
just
don't
choose
know
one.
the West
Yeah,
Most. I do
we
not
don't
know
want
the
someone.
itemized
No,
list.
and I'm not asking you for that. I'm just saying you don't want someone to join and think like, wait, I was just here a minute ago. Now there's another girl talking. For anyone who's just joining us, this is still Jesse Pickles, same
Hey
person,
guys,
just
it's
sometimes.
Jessie. But you also may know
Yeah.
me as Dear. What the heck?
Oh,
If
nice.
you would like to participate in my live streams, all you have to do is be respectful. Now, I do
Hmm.
have some filters on, and that is not to respect my peace, because who gives a fuck about me, right? I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But it's to
Well.
respect the peace and privacy of my loved ones and also people
Yeah.
who participate in my chat. Thank you.
Yeah. I see you do have a chatter right now who's saying Jim Roush. What do you know about Jim Roush?
I sucked his cock a couple times.
No, well, you are Papilios, but if let's say if the rotund man in your intruder in the intruder scenario, what if that rotund man pulled off his mask and it was Jim Roush?
Call Chris Hansen. Who you gonna call? Chris Hansen.
That's a good answer. It's a really good answer. Um,
Anyway, so back to my story. So
yes,
from
sorry.
there, I became terrified, and then I had recurring nightmares. That is when I
Hmm.
started to write the story in a journal, and I got my friends involved, and they were interested in it. And then we were always the further readers. So in our class, whenever we would finish the book way early. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Everyone, it takes a whole fucking week, and we you know we have to write comprehensive like little tiny little paragraphs, you know, fourth fifth grade.
Yeah.
Well, it was fifth grade actually. So anyway, so we would finish early and we would just ask, can we work on Jesse's book? Well, you know, they would, can we work on the book? And you know, we would write in journals and everything. And then when we were teenagers, we found the books.
Oh, nice.
I
And
know.
then what?
So like we're like kind of making fun of ourselves, but also it is like I brought it up to my therapist at the time, different therapist than I have now, obviously. Like this is
Obvious.
many years ago. And they said, wow, like that's crazy that well not crazy. How they said is wow, that is it's a different intellectual perspective to have a nightmare and want to write it so that you embrace your fears and construct it into a story where you can develop a passion to
Hmm. Hmm.
Stop it. I'm
I'm not even
high.
saying. What am I doing?
Anyway,
I'm
so
listening and agreeing.
yeah, the Intruder story. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well,
Mhm.
that's really interesting. So I think that'll clear it up for anyone who heard the Intruder story on my channel and was a little confused because you do bounce back and forth between reality and the dream world, and so I think it was a little difficult for people to follow. So I think this will
I
be a good
know. I
companion piece.
understand that. Do you have any
Well,
other
so if
questions so I can like set the record straight for
re-
that? Because
regarding
I
the
don't want
Intruder
people being
story
like, wait a minute,
or
like this
or
is what
any
actually fucking happened.
Jesse, you're like the
And
only person.
it set a
Jesse. It's
precedent
you.
for
How? Why do you ask me questions and then talk over me so I can't answer you? I don't understand.
I'm the host bitch.
Okay, but you asked me if I have any other questions. Any other questions regarding the Intruder story or anything?
No, the Intruder story, honey.
Well, yeah. How much time did the wet bandits end up getting after they were caught?
They didn't. They went on a drug program because they were on high strung. And so I feel like, that they, it's kind of crazy that that kind of happens. There are people
Hmm.
who do horrible things in the world and they get lesser treatment, but it also depends on the state. And I don't know 100% for sure because I never completely asked my parents about this. They may have said this is what we want because sometimes they ask the victims. Like I haven't been a victim of mugging, non-physical mugging, and they
Wait,
asked me,
hold on. You were a victim of mugging. When did this happen?
all right, I'm not doing that. But
Wait,
so
hold on,
they asked
Jesse,
me, and I said that
hold
I
on.
want
See,
them to go to rehab.
you're giving me sour. Wait, whoa. Okay, so they asked you, the police asked you, the judge asked you, or your parents asked you what the
Court,
penalty should be. The court
court.
asked you this,
I had
and
a
so they let
lawyer.
you.
Yeah,
Wait. Why did you have a lawyer? You weren't in. Why would you have a lawyer? You were not 10 years old.
no, this happened when I was about 19, 18.
Okay, so now we're talking about the mugging.
Oh no, it happened a little bit after. And it happened like 2020. So today is 25, 24, 2017, 2016, maybe.
Okay, so how old were you at the time?
Gonna make me do math. This is why I'm having an
Okay,
issue.
well, just tell me how old you were, and I'll tell you how many years ago it was, Jesse.
130. Well, it happens before Florida.
Okay, and that was 2008?
2018.
No,
2018
no,
is when, or
2018.
no,
Okay,
2020. Right. 2000,
no,
yeah,
that
it was
wasn't 20. No,
2018. It was
that
2018.
wasn't 20. Okay, so 2018, right? So that's 7 years ago, and you're 32 now. So how old were you then, Jesse?
Almost 32, but I'm 31. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
right. We're coming up on February 3rd, the big day.
yeah.
So go on,
But
go
I
on.
don't want
So
to discuss details or anything, but
well, we're not discussing details, but you were 24, you're 24, 25 years old. You're the victim of a non-violent mugging, and then they
yeah.
asked you what you wanted to do, and what did you
Well, because it was someone that I grew up with. So they were on drugs,
do?
and just I wanted them to get help, and that's all.
Okay, now back to the Intruder story, because so you wake up and you see these men. You're on the couch in the living room, and they're robbing, they tell you, they put their finger up to their mouth and they say like shh,
No,
like
I don't
go back to.
think they were robbing at the time. I think they were coming. They were going in and out of the house, and I think like what happened is they may have gone in and not realized we were there because it was so dark, and then they were doing it, and then they just got away with like, and then they freaked out, and then they were like, that's what it seems like. Their eyes were like, but they also seemed like, obviously now I know that they were on drugs. Now I know. But as a
Well,
kid, you don't know. I didn't know any of that stuff. At least I did. I'm not saying that every kid doesn't know. I'm
yeah,
saying that
yeah.
I personally did not understand that. But now I know, like the eyes and everything that I remember. They didn't like when I
How
say
light
they
was
they
it?
didn't lean over. they didn't lean over my face. They didn't do anything
Uh-huh.
like crazy like that. There was uh there was a recliner and they were behind it. And they
They were hiding behind the recliner like it was a surprise party?
stop it, you're gonna make me laugh, but in a way, yes.
Okay.
So
Now, well, hold on. So they're you see here's what I'm saying is crazy, right? Like you see these men in the house, you're sleeping. They tell
yeah,
you, "Shh, don't say a thing." You tell them, "Take whatever you want." I'm 9 or 10
don't
years
hurt
old.
me. Yeah.
I give you full access to take anything in the house,
Yeah.
but
And then
don't
I
hurt
was like
me,
shaken up, and after, I tried to wake up my
the neighbor.
neighbor on the ground, and like they were like, oh no, you're annoying and everything, and I thought like, oh, must, like, I don't know, that's what I was thinking. I heard noises as like footsteps as they were leaving, and then
Uh-huh.
the sliding back door and everything. And they traced it back to those two doors. So
Okay.
anyway, the fingerprints and everything.
It's
So
just it's
anyway,
crazy that you were able to gently ease yourself back into sleep and um
well, because I
af-
really, you don't want to believe this kind of stuff. You don't,
yeah, yeah.
it. So I was a child and everything, and at the time, like you're in a daze. It's
Hmm.
like we probably fell asleep around, maybe like 8:30. Whenever a Disney Channel movie ended, we were watching always a
What
Disney
movie
Channel
was
movie,
it?
and then
Do you
we fall
remember?
asleep. And so, like, from there, and then it was like, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the night, you know. But I it's wild because the whole thing with
Well, I think what would really help with the detail of the story is what do you remember what Disney movie it was? Um,
um
or even who was in the movie? Because it was probably that dude from Phil of the Future, is what I'm thinking.
it may oh how'd you
Was it
I think
was it Ricky
you were
Ullman?
right. I think it was the Phil of the
Yeah,
Future. I think it was.
yeah. There you go. It was Phil of the Future.
No, I don't know for sure, but you're creeping me out because I'm like, I don't know, I don't remember. I was a kid, and also this weird stuff happening. But like now thinking about it, because so I was in fourth grade when
Show
it
choir.
happened.
Oh,
I was in
how many
fourth grade when this
instruments?
happened.
How many instruments would you estimate at the time you played? You're in fourth grade.
Oh
How many
no,
instruments?
I only knew how to play guitar at the time. Oh, and I was
You only
learning flute because flute happened when I was in fourth grade is when you get into instruments and everything. That's so I started learning flute. I learned guitar before then. So that's all I knew.
well,
I didn't
I
know
think
anything, and I
Mozart
started learning keyboard and everything like after
I
that.
think Mozart
So,
started playing
but why
before
can't
fourth
you
grade.
move my intruder fucking video? Since it's all
Well,
about me,
but
me,
we're
me.
Jesse, we're just now having a discussion about the Intruder video. We agreed that this would be an excellent companion piece to the video on my channel. I thought that's what we were doing.
You're such a fucking troll. You're such a troll.
How am I a
I'm
troll?
being Chris Hansen's asshole.
Well, okay, now that's it did rhyme, but it was very rude. To
Oh,
assume
you're
I'm
very
inside of
rude. Yeah, I don't know.
Jesse.
Understand? I don't understand. Like, I'm a nice person, and then I have people that fucking attack me and do weird shit. But I'm not gonna talk about that right now because then I'm gonna get 1,000 trolls. So yeah, I told you my intruder story. We clarified the Aussie Bite situation. I feel like that was
Yeah.
great progress because the Aussie Bite situation people were fucking fascinated with, and people wanted to
Were
know
they?
like where are we going with the Aussie Bite situation, and now we came to a closure.
Uh-huh.
So now people know that we've all that liked Aussie Bites. You only liked them because you were watching my content, and then
No,
you
no,
got
no,
sick
no,
of
no, no,
them,
no.
and
Don't
now
Jesse,
you might
Jesse, no,
try
see you're
to heat them up.
the,
Butter, chocolate. Oh, chocolate chips. Okay, so definitely when you heat it up, like you want to mix it
mhm.
a little bit, like you want to, mix it up, and then put a little bit chocolate chips. When you do peanut butter, not don't do too much. Like just like when you do like a yogurt, kind of like a mini parfait, you want a
Mhm.
little bit. You don't want to go overboard, just a little fucking bit. That's all I'm gonna say. A lot of people think that if you just kind of put
Okay, now
a
what
spoonful of
accent is
peanut
this?
butter in a dish. What?
Just what accent was that? What was that?
I don't know. I'm trying out new things.
Okay, well, can you announce them before you do an accent? That way, anyone who is listening
I
won't be
think there's a
confused.
lot of people that might be interested in what I have to say.
Hey, you sound like Forrest Gump, and that's going to confuse people.
I'm not Forrest Gump, bitch, and I'm my own person. You see, a lot of people are, they're willy nilly thinking all these fucking things. And if I'm gonna be a Southern woman, I might as well show myself some dignity.
Okay. Um, yeah. So I mean, I think there was a lot of progress made here. I think what people would
No, there
really
wasn't
love.
any progress.
What do
All
you
right, you're
What do
such
you
a fucking
mean?
troll. It's wild. Like I'm a troll. You're a troll. We get it. But
What are you talking about? I said a lot of progress was made here.
who
We
had the big ol'
No, no, no,
shash?
no, 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 no. Let's not get into the any hoodles. I think that we came to a conclusion on the Aussie bite thing that you were completely making up that I was eating these things because of you. We got some
No,
clarification,
so the
some
Aussie
much
bite,
needed.
there's an Aussie
Hold
bite
on.
situation. The Aussie bite situation is where he claimed that he liked Aussie bites, and everyone
Well, don't
knows
say
that that is
he.
my snack. So for
Okay.
some reason, he was only interested in Aussie bites the time that he was covering me, So that's the fucking situation. Now he doesn't fucking like, doesn't
Oh my
he's not
God.
not interested in the fucking Aussie bites. Mm.
We got some. No, stop that. We got some much needed clarification on the intruder
Fuck
story
that.
because there were a lot of people. There were a lot
First
of
of all,
people
I'm the
asking
host.
me.
You're not going to tell me what to do because you're not my quad father.
Oh my God. So we got some much needed clarification because people were coming to my DMs and to my NSFW Discord and asking me, "Hey, what's the deal? What's the deal with the intruder story?"
All right, Wes, that made me laugh. Thank you for that. That was a good one. But that was a good one. Yeah, but yeah, if you ever need clarification involving those things, absolutely. I don't mind answering those types of questions. Um, that's cool.
Well,
But
the problem is though, I think what a lot of people experience is that you have comments off on a lot of your videos, so it's almost
I
impossible
do
to
because
ask
people
a
keep
question.
doxing me. People keep
So
fucking doxing me, and then
why don't
like
you just
someone
set the
posts,
comments? Why don't you just set it so that you review all comments? That way, nothing comes in without your review, and then you can't get doxxed.
"Oh,
But
honey,
you're
no,
really
I mean,
shooting your
oh, honey,
well,
no,
well,
I'm talking
sweetums.
about live streams. Live streams are
Well,
separate from my videos. So
well,
my videos, yes,
even a
they're
lot of your
completely.
videos, even a lot of your videos have comments off on them. But I'm
They
saying
do. They
you're
do.
really
I'm
shooting
talking
yourself
about
in
my
the foot
live
there.
streams, honey. My
Uh
live
huh.
streams, honey, boo boo doo doo. My live streams are definitely have the review messages on, and it asks me if I want to review. And that is not to disrespect my privacy or peace, because who gives a fuck about me? It
Yeah.
really is all about the privacy and respect of my loved ones.
Mhm.
So, that being said, if you want to participate in my chat, all you have to do is at least buy all those rules. I mean, it's not that hard. I don't want to have to
So
fucking
I'm
Miss
getting
Rachel toddler time you.
I'm getting DMs. People are asking me. They're saying
I don't
no
care about your
Migos.
DMs.
Well,
Why
hold
would I
on.
care about why would I care about your
They're
DMs and
asking
you
people.
you fucking yourself in the
Jesse.
shower? Like
Okay,
I don't
you're being sour pickles, and I don't understand where this is coming from.
okay. Well,
People are asking
so
me when are we doing
that
no
being
Migos
said,
again?
thank you, West Moose, for joining my live stream. I appreciate you answering all the questions when it comes to, well, the Aussie Bike Gate. And then
Hmm.
also we talked about the
The intruder.
intruder. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.